Welcome to the Black Mother Wound podcast, where we center the stories of Black women as we heal from the painful relationships with our mothers. Sometimes controversial, always compelling, vulnerable, and real. We believe we can only heal the things we named, and if you didn't know, we're all in this together. I'm your host, Jennifer Arnice. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Black Mother Wound podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Arnice. It is Monday, April the 8th, and I have been trying to record this all day, but Monday be Monday, and for real. But we are here. I want to give an honor to God for show. Before we hop into things, I want to let you all know that the wait list has been created for my beta group Mother Wound Healing Intensive. And the link will be down in the show note area, so you can sign up if you think that is something you might be interested in. I am going to lead a very intensive container of no more than, I'm going back and forth if I want to go up to 20 women, but 10 to 20 women who are ready to take a deep dive into their mother wound healing journey, and they don't want to do it alone. They want an usher, and they want a guide, and they want the tools, and they want to put things into practice on the spot, and they want to build community, and they want to see results in their lives. So if that's you, click the link that I'll have down in the show notes so you can get on the wait list. I think the class is going to be between 4 and 6 weeks, and we'll start maybe at the end of April, maybe at the beginning of May. I haven't decided yet because there's a lot of back end stuff I'm still pulling together. So just so you have that note, because I know if I wait to the end, I'll probably forget. So there's that. I want to talk about one of the biggest mistakes I made in my healing journey. Not even just my mother wound healing journey, just all of my trauma, everything that I've been working through and working on since I was 17 years old. But it was not until I started specifically working on my mother wound that I became aware of what I was doing wrong. And if I would have made this shift earlier, oh my God, my life would have been easier. I would have been able to apply what I logically knew about healing much quicker. No shade to myself and no shame, but it's just a fact. And the mistake I made was healing in isolation. I read every book. I listened to every Audible book, podcast. I went to therapy. I was on every YouTube channel. I did everything. I did all the journaling. I did the chakra work. I can't even remember how many healing modalities that I've experienced. And while they did help me, there was still this part of me that felt like I still have to be perfect before I can present myself to the world and before anyone will love me. So I'm going to heal all my trauma. I'm going to fix it all. So when I step out into the world, I'm worthy of being loved. What I didn't realize was that was all shame talking. And it was me intellectualizing my trauma, intellectualizing my own healing, and me trying to outsmart it, all because of the fear around the possibility of abandonment and rejection that would occur if I let people see who I really was, flaws and all, because I was convinced, and this is a part of my mother wound, I was convinced that if anyone really knew me, there's no way in hell they would like me. They would love me. They would see me. They would take me in. Um, and so I had to like work on all those things. I had to get right. I had to see myself better so the world could see me better. And what I didn't realize is the type of complex trauma I experienced through being raised by an emotionally immature mother was a relational trauma. It's a trauma that is created through a relationship. And therefore, I learned that this type of trauma can only be healed through relationship. Now, what I find is that most women who reach out to me in the beginning, they're trying to heal the relationship with their mother. That's their main criteria. How do I get my mother to understand? How do I get her to go to therapy with me? How do I get her to change? And they think if they fix that relationship, they will fix the mother wound. And like I always say, it's not about her. It's about the relationship you have with yourself. But in order to build that healthy relationship with yourself, you have to be in community with other people. You have to allow yourself to get triggered. You have to test this theory that you're not good enough. You have to test the theory that no one will love you if they knew you. You have to test the theory that you have to work hard to earn love. You have to test the theory that you have to do everything for everybody and do everything for yourself because nobody is there for you. You have to test it. And unfortunately, when we're not in a healing space, we are re-injuring ourselves through relationship and coming back to the same answer we had with our mothers, which is, I'm not good enough. Nobody's ever going to be there for me. Nobody sees me. Nobody loves me. Nobody's validating me. I don't have a home. I don't have an emotional home, And that creates like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But when we begin to heal, we approach relationships differently. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about any time you engage with another person, whether it be a romantic partner, a family member, a friend, the lady who's checking you out at Target, the person that you are mad at in traffic, your acquaintances, your next door neighbor. Every time you come in contact with someone, there is something happening where you are believing something about yourself in that moment. And it may be really, really small, the thing that you're believing, but it's going to come out in the way that you engage, right? So let's say, for an example, let's say you need somebody to do something, right? Let's say you have a neighbor and your neighbor, their trash can, after the trash gets picked up, they leave their trash out, but it ends up in your yard, right? You don't like this. And they might leave it there late at night, the next day, whatever it is, you don't like it. And you want them to move that trash can, but you don't say anything. And so all you do instead is you get on the phone and you call somebody or you talk to your husband and you're like, I don't know why they keep leaving this trash can out here. I don't know why they don't pick their shit up. They need to come get their thing. I'm going to call somebody on them. But you never go knock on the door and say, hey, Susan, would you mind coming to pick your trash can up out of my yard by the end of the day? Because it's kind of like an eyesore when I look out my window. I don't like it. That becomes this thing where it's like, how could I ask for what I want? Because in our minds, we've now hearing, they're going to think I'm being a bitch. They're going to think I'm being petty. It's going to start an argument with them. Next thing you know, we're going to be fighting. All these different ideas in your mind come across. But the bottom line is, I cannot ask for what I want. I cannot, under any circumstance, ask for what I want. Otherwise, there will be a repercussion, a negative repercussion that I will not be able to handle, or that will snowball into other negative repercussions. And therefore, I go with my need or desire unmet. So if you're in a healing space and we're talking about healing through relational interactions, you would say, I'm going to write down what I want to say. I want it moved. This is how I'm going to do it. Don't play out the scenarios. What you can say is, I am safe, and whatever happens, I'll be able to handle it. And I have every right to ask for what I want to ask for. That's how you talk to yourself prior to, right? And then you knock on the door and you make the request. Many times we are met with, okay, I am so sorry about that. I've been getting on my son, and I've told him that he needs to move the trash can, but I will make sure it doesn't happen again. Thank you for coming and saying something. And in that moment, you're reprogramming your mind, and a new script is being written. Oh, there's a positive thing that happens when I ask for what I need, right? But let's say the response isn't so nice. Deal with it. It's not my problem. Get from around my front door, right? Wow. Okay. You didn't get your need met. But your job is to ask for what you need. It is always your job to ask for what you need. But then, okay, I can then make a different choice. I can call the HOA. I don't know what you can do, but then you can think about what your choices are, and you can escalate it, and you can continue to ask for what you need. That's just an example, because my son is usually the one who leaves the trash can out too long. So that was just what popped into my head. And I'm looking out my window where I would usually see the trash can. So what I want you to understand is, you cannot heal in isolation. And every part of your day, every part of your interaction with people becomes an avenue to more healing. Everything that you do at all times, because what I want you to be able to do is become aware of what you're thinking and what you're feeling when you feel stress, when you feel frustration, when you feel anger, exhaustion, tension. What is really happening in your body? Because usually it has to do with someone else and a need that you have that needs to be met. And somewhere you're generally not asking, right? Or you may not even be clear on what the need is, but something is there, right? And so I kept going in circles, healing in isolation, because I would read all the books and I would listen to all the YouTube presenters. And I've been on this healing journey a long time. So this is back when I used to go to the library and check out CDs from Wayne Dyer. And I would be listening to CDs from Wayne Dyer and Marianne Williamson. But I didn't practice any of it. I thought I could just get it in my head good enough and then pop out with people. When healing, physical therapy, let's say you have, you're in an accident, right? You have to get physical therapy. Physical therapy is a part of the healing process. It means you have to get up and move. If you're in the hospital and they flip you over, they want you to walk up and down the hall, Those activities are things that facilitate the healing process. After we've closed up the wound, after we've closed it up and cleaned it and done all that stuff, now you have to put into practice getting back out there. And healing is an action verb. Healing is not something that you just do in a book and on your knees. It is not. Healing is not a pray and wait game. Healing is a pick up your bed and walk game. If your life is not changing, ask yourself, am I really healing? If the situations are not getting better, am I really healing? And be honest with yourself, because true healing means there's a change in your perspective. That's what a miracle is. That's what Marianne Williamson calls a miracle. A change in your perspective. And when you have a change in your perspective, you make different choices. You make different decisions. Those things result in different outcomes in your life. That's the connection. And for so long, over 25 years, I didn't get that. I was going to therapy and not implementing anything the therapist told me because and of course I know this now. I didn't know it then. I just thought I was going to wake up different. I thought if I just talk it out and get it out, it wouldn't be a problem. But that is not the case, ma'am. I had to practice the new things I was learning about myself. And as soon as that started, the reprogramming happened in my mind, and I began to see myself differently. And things that I didn't think were possible for me, all of a sudden were like, duh, of course you can do that. Of course you can have that. Of course you can go there. Of course that's possible. It is blowing my fucking mind every day still. Like, oh my God. All of this was available to you the entire time, but you couldn't see it because you weren't willing to risk the rejection and abandonment to ask for what your needs are that need to be met. And also understanding where you need to fall back. That's a hard one too. Like, in the relationships, we show up oftentimes over functioning. And when we don't do that, we also feel unworthy. And we say, well, if I'm not doing all of these things for this person, then they won't want me around. They won't see me as useful. I'll be a burden, right? But challenging that. And if that person does react that way, understanding they never fuck with you anyway, period. But to give people the opportunity to show up for you also is really hard. Listen, I'm not saying this like it's easy, because it is hard to hold yourself because the anxiety just keeps rising. I can feel my body burning right now when I'm telling myself there are spaces that you overfunction in relationships and you need to fall back and do less. And I can feel the fear and the panic and the terror in my chest as I'm talking when I think I'm going to be alone forever if I do that. If I fall back, if I say no, they're not going to like me. They're going to be mad at me. And because of that, that will make me a bad person, because that's the programming of my childhood. So it's like we have to take it bite by bite, step by step. Okay. You're not going to eat the elephant all at once. But when you take small steps and you get success, whether that success is from someone else or you get the success of knowing, oh, I did this thing and I didn't die, right? I'm still here. That breeds confidence. And with that confidence, you take even bigger steps and more steps in healing a relational wound in relationship with other people. That's why I also decided to do the group container course, because a lot of women have never been with other women who have this shared experience, because there's so much shame around it. You really don't talk about it a lot, right? And you think everybody else's relationship is so good with their mother. And I really want to get a group of women together who know exactly how the other one feels. They don't have to explain. There's someone who understands, and we can pour into each other, because in that space, we know what each other needs, and we also can see the other person's blind spot, and we can solve problems more collectively together. I believe like this group coaching container is way more impactful and powerful than working with me one-on-one, because the energy that is built amongst the women together, advocating for each other's healing, is like everybody's mothering the other. No one is good at mothering themselves, but they're good at mothering another. So everybody gets to know what that feels like to be mothered, and then be like, oh, this is how I mother myself. And I'm just so excited to have that, because that relational healing is what makes the difference. And the more of people you get together who are doing that healing work together, my God, y'all just don't know. It is something else to be truly loved, right? For someone to see what you believe is your greatest flaw, the thing that you think makes you not worthy, and for somebody to be like, you good, sis. We're still here. We get it. We understand. And we're going to love on you even more. I wish I would have had that back in the day, but here we are. And I'm just excited for that. And so while we were waiting for the group container to start, I want you to begin looking at how you can heal your mother wound relationally with those people I was talking about. Everybody from the complete stranger to the people that are closest to you in your life. And ask yourself the question, what need do I need to have met? Right? Make a list. They can be the smallest thing. And I say small, but nothing is small. If you say, I need 10 minutes with my door closed before my kids knock on it tonight. Like how you begin to ask. And if you are around people and they're not used to you asking for what you need, there will be some pushback. And that's okay too. We can work through all of that, but at least work on identifying the need and how you can manage when the trigger comes up in the moment. Recognizing, I've been triggered. This bitch, she on one right now. She don't know I'm about to knock her ass slam out. You think you got an attitude and you telling somebody what's on your mind when actually you scared. You are in fight or flight. You're actually in fear of your emotional safety right now. So becoming aware of those things is so freaking powerful, y'all. And I think it's hard for us to, because, and I'm going to leave y'all with this. If you grew up with a toxic mother, emotionally unavailable mother, you kind of grew up emotionally isolated anyway. There was always a sense of you being apart from other people. I know for me it was. I might talk about that next week in next week's episode. And so it can be difficult to connect with others in a vulnerable way because you weren't able to do it with her, right? But I'm sorry to tell you, that is the work. That's the work. So that's what I got for y'all today. You cannot heal in isolation. Use everyone around you to be healing, to be asking for what you need, to be questioning the ways in which you don't feel worthy, the ways in which you don't feel autonomy over your life. You don't have to have it all figured out. This is just an awareness exercise, becoming aware and then telling yourself, you deserve all of these things. I deserve this rest. I deserve this good parking space. Whatever it is that you deserve it. And you also don't have to do so much for others to feel deserving. So where are the ways you want to pull back, right? Don't get overwhelmed with the guilt of setting the boundary right now. We're not there. We're just becoming aware of what the little girl in us needs, right? Because like I said, this is the year of big time healing for us. And this is a part of that process. So I love y'all dearly. I know I took a couple weeks off. I'm going to try and not do that next week, but life be lifing. Stay connected. I see y'all on IG. Please, if you haven't already, please leave a comment on this podcast. Please rate it with 5 stars. It means so much. Y'all come back to IG and you tell me how much you love the podcast, but please, please, please leave a comment. Please leave 5 stars. It goes a very long way as we are growing this community, especially with this podcast. So I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Black Mother Wound podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and make sure you comment, subscribe, and rate the show. You can keep the conversation going over on IG at Black Mother Wound and click the link in the show notes to download the free Mother Wound Healing Guide. See you next week.